Hello, I'm Katie Kavanagh, one of the Senior Archivists at Aberdeen City and Aberdeenshire Archives. I'm just going to be doing a quick introduction to how our collections can help you discover more about your family history. The best place to start is to ask any older family members for any information they have, and then I would recommend visiting Scotland's People. This allows you to search births, marriages and death records, both in the statutory registers, which begin in 1855, and the earlier church registers, also known as the Old Parish Registers. You can also search the census, which goes from 1841 to 1911 and is done every 10 years. This gives additional information about location and occupation for every 10 years. I would recommend using the advanced search tool, particularly if you've got a common surname in your family tree, as this allows you to search by narrow down results by location and year. Once you have this key information, our records let you flesh it out a bit more. We hold school records for Aberdeen City and Aberdeenshire at our old Aberdeen House offices. This includes admission registers like this one for Peterhead North, which records when a pupil started school, their date of birth, their parent and guardian's details, and often when they left school and why they left school. We also have logbooks for many schools. These are diaries kept by the head teacher of the school. They do contain quite a lot of administrative details about attendance rates, but they also record notable events and give you a flavour of what schools were like at the time. They don't often contain information about individual pupils unless they were very good, winning prizes, for example, or rather naughty. So this example is from a school in Afford, and a pupil has been noted in the logbook because he's been insubordinate and was sent home. If you're not sure which school your ancestor attended, it's good to use our school map, which is available via our website. This provides the locations of every school we have records for, and if you click on the pins on the map, it will give you the details of the reference number to use in our catalogue. Often the best place to start would be the location given at the census. And it's important to note that if your family were farm servants, they might move around a lot every 6 months potentially. Now, school records and the next records I'll be talking about, poor relief records, are both covered by the Data Protection Act. So this covers information about living individuals, and it restricts the access that we can provide to these records. So in these instances, we would need permission of the person whose data it relates to or proof that they've passed away. And poor relief records are a particularly rich source for family history. From 1845, the poor relief system in Scotland was administered in parishes by parochial boards or later parish councils. And this was the case until 1930. And we can see here all the parishes in the north east of Scotland. Parochial boards kept records of applications, and if the application was granted, it would be entered in a general register like this one for Peterhead. Parochial boards also kept minutes, recording the decisions of individual cases. And all this information can provide, all these records can provide useful information for family historians. This is a minute example from Crimond in 1845, and you can see a list of people that received monetary grants from the parochial board. With these records, again, they're covered by data protection, and it's important to note that we don't have every series of records for every parish. And unfortunately, the records are particularly limited for the city of Aberdeen. Most of these records are held at Old Aberdeen House, but they can be consulted at both branches using our digital copies of the records. And there's also a guide to the city records on our website. The next records I was going to talk about was church records. Our Tone House branch holds Kirk Session records for 4 Aberdeen parishes, and the remaining records are at the National Records of Scotland in Edinburgh, but we have access to digital copies in both search rooms. They're most useful for cases of church discipline, often to do with illegitimate children. and you'll find more information about those in the Kirk Session minutes. We also hold records for some Episcopalian, Methodist and Congregational churches. Moving on, burial records. We have some city burial records. For example, this is a register entry for Nellfield Cemetery and a limited number for Aberdeenshire. The city burial records can be searched on Deceased online for a fee, which also includes other Aberdeenshire records which have remained with the council. Again, I would recommend using the advanced search tool to filter the location. For city burials after the start of the 20th century, it's worth contacting the council's bereavement services team as they still hold a lot of those records. I'm now going to do a quick run through some other sources that are potentially of use for family historians. There's guides on our website to electoral rolls, valuation rolls and tax records. We also have apprentice registers for Aberdeen City, and these have been indexed, and the indexes are on our website. Similarly, there's guides to the militia records we hold on our website. They are for Aberdeen County. We hold Grampian police collections, so there's lots of information about police officers and criminals in there. And criminals might also appear in our borough police court registers, and there's guides on our website. I would also recommend using the National Records of Scotland's website. They have a guide to crime and criminals, which details other court records and records of prisons which are held by them in Edinburgh. If you believe your ancestor was helped by a charity, we hold two main charity collections, that of the Voluntary Services Aberdeen and its predecessors, and the Aberdeen Endowments Trust. Again, both these series would be covered by data protection, but they might be worth checking out. If your ancestor was a teacher, records of School Board and Education Authority may be relevant to your searches. And I also wanted to highlight two resources that are provided by the National Library of Scotland. They have a wonderful historical maps website, which allows you to access Ordnance Survey mapping and town plans. So there's quite a few for Aberdeen on here. We'll have a look at this one. So you can see the level of detail that these go into. So this, I think, is near St Nicholas Church. So it shows you the layout of the church. And the National Library of Scotland have also digitised a lot of post office directories which can be useful to trace people's addresses. And these are all on their website. If you have any questions, our email address is here, and there's also lots of additional advice and resources on our website.